There is a moment, silent and sacred, when the voice of the soul speaks softly enough for the universe to lean in. In that moment, words cease to be mere sounds and become living instruments of creation. The whisper holds power because it is untouched by fear, untainted by doubt, and unburdened by the noise of effort. The whisper does not shout its desires to heaven. It moves as a secret current beneath the waves of thought, carrying the essence of faith without resistance. When the heart is quiet, when the mind has stopped its restless counting, a single line spoken in stillness becomes more potent than 1,000 affirmations shouted in anxiety. The whisper belongs to the realm of spirit, not the marketplace of mind. It does not beg or plead, it knows. It commands by knowing that the thing desired already exists. And in that knowing, it draws the invisible into visibility, the unformed into form, the dream into manifestation. Every great creation begins as a whisper. The mountains were whispered into being before they were seen. The seas heard the word before they could reflect the light of the sun. In the stillness before movement, the word was spoken not loudly, not with strain, but with calm certainty. The whisper is the mother of miracles because it holds no doubt. It speaks from a place where there is no question of whether abundance will come. It speaks from the place where abundance already is. When one whispers a sacred line of prosperity, it must not come from desperation or desire. It must come from recognition. One does not whisper to attract, one whispers to reveal. For the truth is that wealth, in its divine form, has always been present. It surrounds the one who whispers, waiting only for permission to flow. The whisper gives that permission. It opens the door of consciousness, where locked treasures have been waiting for acknowledgement. The world teaches that one must shout to be heard, but the divine ear is attuned to stillness. The whisper vibrates differently. It enters the fabric of creation without friction. It does not collide with resistance because it carries no resistance within it. Its softness is its strength. Like a stream carving through stone, its power lies in persistence, not in volume. The whisper's authority comes from the inner alignment of faith and emotion, not from the force of the tongue. To whisper prosperity is to return to the secret law that governs all creation. What is spoken in stillness becomes visible in form. It is not the noise of the outer world that shapes destiny, but the tone of the inner voice. The whisper trains the heart to feel before the evidence appears. It teaches that wealth is not something to be earned but remembered, not something to be summoned but revealed. When you whisper, you are not asking the universe to give you, are reminding it of what it has already declared yours. A whisper spoken in faith can move mountains that loud demands cannot shake. This is the mystery of vibration. The tone of the whisper is gentle, but its frequency is exact. It vibrates in harmony with divine supply. When you whisper from your heart, your words harmonize with the eternal rhythm of abundance. You do not disturb the waters of creation, you glide upon them. In that gentle movement, all forces align to serve the quiet decree. Think of a seed in the soil. It does not announce itself with thunder, it germinates in darkness. Its power grows in silence until it bursts forth as life. So too does the whispered word. It is planted in the soil of stillness, watered by faith, nourished by gratitude. No one sees it growing, yet one morning, the harvest stands before you. The whisper is the sowing, and the silence that follows is the rain. You do not rush to check the seed, you trust its unfolding. To whisper is to commune with the unseen. It is to stand in the secret chamber of creation and speak as one who has authority. The whisper is never casual. It is not spoken for effect, nor for approval, nor for repetition. It is spoken once with full conviction, and then it is released. The power of the whisper lies not only in its sound, but in its surrender. Once the line is whispered, it is no longer yours, it belongs to the universe. The universe receives it and begins its invisible orchestration. Those who shout their affirmations often do so to convince themselves. Those who whisper have already believed. The whisper is not an act of trying, it is an act of knowing. It carries the peace of completion, not the hunger of pursuit. When you whisper, you align with the eternal principle that what you seek is seeking you, that what you desire already exists in the unseen, waiting for recognition. The whisper is that recognition, the final key that unlocks the vault. Imagine yourself alone in a quiet room. No noise, no urgency, only your breath, steady and calm. You place your hand upon your heart and feel its rhythm. You close your eyes and speak the sacred line not loudly, but softly, reverently. The air seems to shift around you. You feel as though something ancient has awakened. You sense that the very walls are listening, that unseen forces are now in motion. This is the power of the whisper. It travels farther than sound, deeper than thought. The whisper does not move through air, it moves through spirit. It carries your conviction into the very heart of the universal law. And that law does not hear words, it hears vibration. It hears the emotional tone behind the sound. The whisper succeeds because it is free of tension, free of disbelief. It flows unopposed, carried by peace. The one who whispers does not chase results. They rest in the certainty that what they have spoken must appear. There are those who wait for miracles, and those who whisper them into being. The whisperer does not demand the hour or the form in which abundance appears. They simply know that it must come. And because they know, it comes swiftly. The whisper operates under the law of divine immediacy. What is spoken in faith is already fulfilled in spirit. Time only unfolds to reveal it. The whisper is therefore timeless. It transcends the waiting, because it speaks from the already accomplished. In the art of prosperity, the whisper is the bridge between the seen and unseen. It is the hand that draws gold from the ether, not through struggle, but through alignment. Every time you whisper your sacred line, you reaffirm that you and supply are one. You erase separation. You cease to ask and begin to declare. The whisper declares quietly, but its echo resounds through creation. Its effect is sure because its cause is pure. To whisper prosperity is to join in the divine rhythm that created all things. You are no longer an observer, you are a participant in the cosmic dialogue. You speak, and life answers. You whisper, and the universe rearranges. You believe, and substance takes form. The whisper, though fragile to the ear, is mighty in creation. Its gentleness conceals its authority. Its silence conceals its thunder. So when you desire abundance, do not raise your voice to the heavens. Go into the secret place of your own being. Let the noise of doubt dissolve. Let the heart steady itself in peace. And when the moment feels sacred enough, when the stillness itself seems to listen, then whisper the line. Whisper it with love, with knowing, with joy. Whisper it as one who commands through calm certainty. For the whisper does not plead, it affirms. It does not hope, it declares. It does not look to the future, it anchors in the now. Its sound may vanish in a second, but its vibration endures in eternity. What you whisper in faith today will return as visible abundance, multiplied and complete. The whisper is the sound of creation remembering its own power, the softest note that carries the weight of worlds. There exists a sacred moment when the human voice transcends the boundaries of sound and becomes a decree. Not a request, not a wish, not a plea, but a command spoken from the innermost chamber of faith. The universe, vast and infinite, bends itself toward that one line. It does not measure the volume of the voice, it measures the authority within it. The one who speaks with true certainty does not need to shout, for creation itself listens to the quiet confidence of divine knowing. The one line of command is not made powerful by the words themselves, but by the consciousness from which they are spoken. Every soul is given this power. It is the divine inheritance that many forget, mistaking words for mere expressions of thought rather than tools of formation. The one line of command operates through spiritual law. what is spoken with conviction and belief immediately begins to take shape in the invisible world. The unseen substance of the universe responds to tone, to intention, to certainty. The line, when spoken from this place, moves unseen energies into perfect order. It awakens dormant channels through which wealth, peace, and opportunity begin to flow. The great secret is that the line must not come from the intellect, but from the divine awareness that already knows its truth. When spoken from the mind, words are hollow and uncertain. When spoken from the spirit, they vibrate with eternal law. The one line of command does not ask for proof, it becomes proof. It carries within it the power to create the very evidence it declares. There is no delay between the word and the response, for in the dimension of faith, cause and effect are one. Imagine for a moment the unseen world around you, vast, fluid, alive. Every thought you send out stirs its surface, creating ripples that expand infinitely. Most thoughts are scattered. They form patterns of confusion because they lack unity of purpose. But the one line of command is like a single deliberate stroke that divides the sea and calls forth dry land. It is focused, unwavering, charged with the electricity of faith. It is not cluttered by hesitation. It stands as an order, not an opinion, and because it is rooted in divine law, it cannot return void. There is no magic in the phrase itself, but there is divine power in the consciousness behind it. The one line of command is not meant to impress the universe, it is meant to align you with it. When you speak such a line, you are not trying to convince creation, you are reminding it of its design. The universe does not resist your command when it comes from truth, because the command itself arises from the same intelligence that governs the stars. When you speak it, you are not an outsider asking for a favor. You are a participant issuing a directive through divine authority. This is the essence of spiritual speech. The one who commands from faith does so gently, without strain, without expectation of failure. They do not repeat their command over and over in fear that it was not heard. They know that once the line has been spoken, it is already done. The moment the word leaves their lips, the unseen world begins its silent orchestration, adjusting people, timing, and circumstances to fulfill what was declared. The word carries its own fulfillment within it. In ancient times, sages understood that sound was the first motion of creation. All things that exist began with a word. But it was not the ordinary speech of humankind. It was the divine utterance, the sound of knowing. The one line of command is a return to that same creative principle. When you whisper your line, perhaps in solitude, perhaps in the middle of the night, when the world is quiet, you are reawakening the original language of manifestation. It is the speech of the soul, the vibration that commands light to become form. This one line does not need to be long, ornate, or poetic. Its power lies in its purity. It must be concise enough to hold faith without dilution. A single sentence filled with absolute conviction can move the mountains that endless prayers cannot. It is the clarity of spirit that charges the line with fire. The one who knows that all good already belongs to them can speak a line as simple as, "I am now one with the infinite supply," and the whole universe begins to conspire in agreement. The one line of command is also a mirror. It reflects the inner condition of the soul. If the command is spoken with hidden doubt, it returns empty. If it is spoken with full conviction, it returns overflowing. The difference is not in the sound, but in the feeling behind it. The feeling is the electricity that activates the word. Without feeling, the word remains an unlit vessel. With feeling, it becomes a torch that illuminates the unseen path of manifestation. The line of command must be spoken as though the result already exists. It must carry the joy of completion, not the anxiety of pursuit. Those who wait to see before believing will never command. They will only request. But the one who commands has already seen not with the eyes, but with the inner vision that recognizes the presence of supply even in the absence of evidence. The one line of command speaks from the end, not from the beginning. It does not describe a lack, it declares fulfillment. There is a tone that cannot be faked, a vibration that only true faith can produce. It is this vibration that makes the one line of command irresistible to the universe. The forces of creation align themselves around that sound, as metal is drawn to a magnet. It is the tone of absolute authority, not the kind born of pride, but the authority of divine unity. It says, "I and the Source are one, therefore what I speak must come to pass." The universe recognizes its own voice in yours, and it obeys. When the one line of command is uttered, the mind must fall silent. There can be no contradiction, no mental chatter that tries to analyze how it will happen. The command belongs to spirit, the how belongs to the law. You need not interfere with its unfolding. The moment you begin to doubt, you pull at the seed before it can sprout. Trust that once the line is spoken, invisible hands are already at work, arranging everything necessary for your abundance to appear in perfect time. Many attempt to manifest wealth by effort alone, by endless repetition, by struggle and strategy. But the one line of command bypasses all of that. It goes directly to the source. It does not persuade or bargain, it declares. It is not subject to time or limitation. When the command is spoken with authority, the energy of abundance is immediately released. This is why some experience miracles while others wait, because the miracle is not in the waiting, but in the certainty. When you speak your one line, speak it as though it cannot fail. Feel the weight of the divine power behind it. Let it be a decree that vibrates through every cell of your being. Speak it once, and then live as though it were already true. Your actions, your thoughts, your emotions, all must align with the reality you have declared. The universe mirrors consistency, not contradiction. To command is to embody the result before it appears. There is no need to fear the magnitude of your request, for nothing is too vast for divine law. Large sums of money, new opportunities, unexpected blessings, all are expressions of the same supply. The law does not distinguish between what is great and what is small. It only measures the certainty with which you command. The one line of command, therefore, works instantly when the speaker is anchored in absolute belief. It does not wait for outer permission. It acts upon inner conviction. The whisper of command may seem fragile, but it carries infinite weight. It is the sound of creation remembering itself. When you speak that single line, you are not introducing a new truth. You are reaffirming an eternal one, that all things are already yours in consciousness, waiting only for your recognition. You do not chase, you do. Not strive, you declare. And as the word is released, unseen laws begin to move, rearranging the flow of wealth, the rhythm of chance, the pattern of events, until what was invisible becomes visible, and what was distant stands before you as your own. There is a sacred law that operates beyond the boundaries of time, beyond the slow unfolding of human logic. It is the law of immediate attraction, the divine principle that what you feel and know as true, this very moment, must rush to meet you in visible form. This law does not recognize waiting or delay, for in the higher order of creation there is no future. All things exist now, vibrating in the eternal present. To one who understands this truth, manifestation ceases to be a process and becomes an instant recognition. The universe does not move slowly, only human doubt makes it appear so. The law of immediate attraction responds not to the words you say, but to the tone of certainty behind them. When your word and your feeling become one, the command is fulfilled the very moment it is spoken. You cannot speak faith and feel fear at the same time. The two cannot occupy the same space. The instant your inner vibration aligns with your spoken word, creation happens. This alignment is the heartbeat of the law. It is not the size of your desire that determines speed, but the clarity of your belief. When the heart and the word are synchronized, delay dissolves. In the higher realm of spirit, cause and effect are simultaneous. The spoken word is both seed and harvest. The delay that seems to exist between your affirmation and your manifestation is an illusion of the human mind, which measures by hours and days. But in truth, the instant the word of faith is spoken, the invisible form of the thing desired is completed. It exists immediately in the unseen, waiting only for the physical world to catch up. The law of immediate attraction is always instantaneous. Only human perception gives it the illusion of time. This law is simple. Whatever you accept as true in feeling becomes true in experience. The moment you truly feel rich, you are rich in vibration, and matter rearranges itself to reflect that state. The moment you feel free, the chains that bound you in appearance begin to loosen. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror of your inner tone. Every shift in your feeling sends a command into the universal substance, which responds without delay, without question, without resistance. The universe does not argue, it echoes. When you declare abundance, but secretly fear lack, your vibration is divided. The law does not respond to words, it responds to the energy behind them. The universe hears your fear more clearly than your statement. That is why one may speak of wealth for years and still live in want. The law does not fail. The alignment does. The law of immediate attraction only activates when your emotional tone harmonizes with your declaration. The moment that harmony is achieved, not tomorrow, not next month, the manifestation begins its immediate appearance. Faith is not waiting for the thing to happen. Faith is knowing that it already has. The law of immediate attraction answers to that knowing. It listens for the frequency of completion, not for the tone of hope. Hope looks to the future. Faith speaks from the now. The universe moves instantly when you move into that vibration of finished creation. To feel as though your desire is already fulfilled is to open the gate through which abundance flows. The law does not require time, it requires recognition. Imagine a musician striking a note on a perfectly tuned instrument. The sound that emerges is instant, pure, and resonant. There is no pause between the touch and the tone. So it is, with the vibration of faith, the instant your feeling touches divine substance, the note of manifestation sounds. You may not see it yet with your eyes, but the echo has already begun to travel through the fabric of creation, drawing into alignment every event, every person, every circumstance that fulfills your word. The law of immediate attraction is music played upon the strings of the invisible. When you understand this law, you stop asking, "When will it happen?" because you know that it already has. You stop measuring results by the calendar and begin to measure them by your state of consciousness. The divine response does not come from outside of you. It arises the moment your inner world becomes one with your spoken truth. The word is not waiting for permission to manifest. It is waiting for your agreement with it. The moment you feel and know that your declaration is real, the law seals it. This is why the greatest miracles often appear in moments of surrender, when the struggle stops, when the soul releases its grip on time, when faith becomes effortless. The law of immediate attraction is hindered by tension. For tension is a declaration of disbelief. The heart that clings cannot receive. But the one that releases in perfect trust becomes an open channel. When you whisper your command and let it go with peace, you declare to the universe, "I know it is already done." And in that instant, the law moves, unseen yet absolute. It is not necessary to repeat your affirmation endlessly. The one who truly believes does not knock twice on a door they know will open. The word spoken in full conviction carries its own authority. Each repetition born of fear weakens its vibration. Speak once with faith, and then rest in the knowing. Rest is not idleness, it is confidence in the law. The more peaceful you become after your declaration, the faster the unseen forces align. The law of immediate attraction operates in silence and certainty, not in noise and worry. The speed of manifestation depends entirely on the purity of belief. The one who speaks from divided mind delays their own good, but the one whose heart is single and steady draws results as swiftly as a magnet draws iron. Large sums of money, opportunities, and favor do not take time to appear. They take belief to be recognized. Time is merely the shadow of your own uncertainty stretching across the path of manifestation. When the shadow lifts, the result is seen. To live under the law of immediate attraction is to speak as one who knows that delay is only a dream. You no longer think in terms of waiting, but in terms of unfolding. You know that what you seek is not coming, it is already here, taking shape before your eyes. You begin to live as though the thing has already arrived, because in truth, it has. This is the secret of the quickened path. Feeling precedes form, and the one who feels completion now walks in the completed world. The word becomes instant magnetism when it is spoken with joy. Joy is the sign of faith fulfilled within. It is the soul's way of saying, "It is already mine." This vibration is irresistible to the universe. It pulls abundance, opportunity, and money from every direction because joy has no doubt in it. To rejoice before the evidence is to activate the highest power of attraction. The one who can smile at invisible wealth will soon touch visible gold. There are no degrees of difficulty in this law. It does not take longer to attract millions than it does to attract a single coin. The law does not measure size, it measures certainty. When you believe that a thing must come, it comes because it cannot do otherwise. Every delay is a mirror showing where belief has hesitated. The universe reflects not your words but your state of being. The moment you embody abundance, the material world responds in kind. The law of immediate attraction is the rhythm of divine reciprocity. You send out a vibration, it returns multiplied. You speak from fullness, fullness answers. You whisper your truth, reality reshapes itself to match. There is no lag between cause and effect in spirit, only the illusion of distance created by disbelief. The divine response is always instantaneous, for creation exists outside of time. The law of immediate attraction therefore waits not for tomorrow, it lives entirely in the eternal now. When one truly grasps this law, life transforms into an unbroken dialogue between thought and manifestation. You speak, and it appears. You imagine, and it unfolds. You feel, and it takes form. The more you trust this process, the faster it becomes. Faith accelerates creation. The moment your inner world and outer world match in vibration, there is no space between command and completion. The law of immediate attraction is that instant, that sacred flash where your word becomes the world. There is a sanctuary within every human being, a space untouched by noise, where the eternal current of creation flows without interruption. This sanctuary is silence. It is not merely the absence of sound, but the stillness of being, the sacred quiet in which divine energy moves most freely. In this silence, all resistance falls away. The whisper of spirit becomes audible, and the law of abundance begins its perfect work. The great paradox of manifestation is that it does not arise from action, but from stillness, not from struggle, but from surrender. Silence is the golden bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen and the seen, the spiritual word and its material fulfillment. When one enters silence with a pure heart, the whole universe begins to listen. For silence is not emptiness, it is the womb of creation. Within its invisible depth, the word takes shape, the vibration of life begins to hum, and form is born out of the unformed. The mind believes that loudness commands attention, but the divine laws hear only the language of peace. In silence, the self stops pushing against the current of life and begins to flow with it. It is here that the true magic of prosperity is conceived. All things that endure come from stillness. The tree does not rush its growth, the river does not force its path. Both move in harmony with a silent intelligence. The same intelligence governs abundance. Money, opportunity, and success do not come through strain, they come through alignment. And alignment is achieved in silence. When the mind grows quiet enough to feel rather than think, it tunes itself to the frequency of divine supply. Then, without effort, the unseen begins to move in your favor. You speak less, but every word becomes power. You act less, but every act becomes effective. Silence is the resting place of faith. It is the space between the words spoken and the manifestation seen. The impatient soul tries to fill that space with worry, but the wise soul remains still. For silence is not waiting, it is knowing. It is the confidence that what has been declared must come to pass. When you can be silent after your affirmation, you demonstrate trust. You say to the universe, I do not need to shout. I know. The silence becomes a seal upon your decree. It tells creation that your word requires no assistance. The greatest manifestations are born not from noise, but from quiet certainty. The whisper that begins in silence travels farther than the cry that rises from fear. When you whisper your sacred line and then retreat into the stillness of faith, you enter the true creative state. The moment you cease to disturb the surface of the waters with thought, the reflection becomes clear, and your desire can be mirrored perfectly. Silence polishes the mirror of the mind until it reflects divine order without distortion. It is in silence that the divine plan is revealed. Many pray for guidance and hear nothing because they are busy speaking. Yet the answer waits beneath their noise, patient as the dawn. When the lips close and the heart grows still, intuition awakens. You begin to hear the subtle direction that leads to supply. A thought, a nudge, a sudden inspiration, all these are the voice of the silent channel. It does not speak in thunder, it speaks in impression. And when you act upon that quiet guidance, you move in perfect rhythm with abundance. Silence is the channel through which energy flows unimpeded. The human mind, when restless, creates interference. Doubt, fear, and overthinking form blockages that slow the current of manifestation. But when you sink into silence, those blockages dissolve. The channel opens. Prosperity begins to move like a river, finding its way back to the sea. The flow is natural, effortless, inevitable. This is why silence is sacred, because in it, the divine current can finally pass through you unobstructed. In the quiet chamber of spirit, everything is accomplished without visible effort. The law of supply does not need convincing. It needs openness. Silence is the state of perfect receptivity, the moment when you stop speaking long enough to receive. When the mind is silent, it no longer argues against its own good. It no longer doubts the possibility of wealth or delays its arrival through worry. In silence, the mind becomes transparent, and divine energy passes through it like light through clear glass. To live in this awareness is to understand that silence is not passive. It is dynamic stillness, the field where unseen forces gather strength. The silence of faith is not empty. It is charged with creative intent. It hums with the vibration of fulfillment. When you step into this sacred quiet, you become one with the power that forms worlds. You stop reacting and start radiating. You cease reaching outward and begin drawing inward, and the outer world rearranges itself in response to that inner calm. Think of silence as the invisible architect of manifestation. Every structure, every fortune, every answered prayer begins first as a pattern in the stillness of consciousness. When the inner design is clear and undisturbed, the outer form appears effortlessly. But if the inner space is filled with noise, with anxious thoughts and hurried words, the pattern blurs, and the manifestation falters. Silence, then, is the blueprint room of creation. It is where divine ideas take shape before they appear in the world. When you rest in silence, you are not withdrawing from life, you are aligning with its source. The noise of the world is the echo of confusion. The silence of spirit is the sound of truth. In this sacred quiet, wealth ceases to be something distant or external. It becomes a natural expression of inner harmony. The more peaceful you become, the more easily prosperity flows toward you. You magnetize blessings not by shouting affirmations into the air, but by allowing your stillness to speak for you. The universe understands silence better than speech, for silence is its native tongue. In silence, gratitude grows. When words stop, feeling expands. You begin to sense the abundance that already surrounds you, the air you breathe, the warmth that holds you, the quiet rhythm of your heartbeat. Gratitude born in silence becomes magnetism. It tells creation that you are already full, and what is full must overflow. The silent soul does not ask for more, it receives by being more. Its peace becomes its prosperity. There is a moment each day when silence calls, perhaps in the early morning, when the world is still unformed, or at night, when the stars stand watch. These are not mere pauses in time. They are portals into power. When you enter them consciously, you enter the workshop of the divine. Here, thoughts are sculpted into form without resistance. Here, money, opportunities, and blessings are already being shaped for you. The one who masters silence becomes a co-creator, not a seeker. The silence that creates is not cold or empty, it is warm and alive, it holds the pulse of divine intelligence. In its still depths, all things are known, all things are possible. When you dwell there, you cease to ask, how will it happen? And instead rest in, it is happening now. That inner knowing, nurtured in silence, radiates outward until the outer world conforms to it. The unseen becomes seen not through noise, but through the quiet certainty that the universe is already at work. Every master of prosperity has known this. The true power lies not in the spoken word alone, but in the silence that follows it. The whisper sets the vibration in motion, but the silence allows it to complete its circuit. The word is the arrow, silence is the air through which it flies. The more tranquil your inner world, the straighter and swifter the arrow's path. In noise, it falters. In silence, it finds its mark. When you can rest in silence after your declaration, when you can stand unshaken in the unseen, unmoved by appearances, you become the perfect channel through which abundance flows. Nothing resists you, for you resist nothing. The energy that once scattered in worry now gathers into power. The law of supply moves freely through your calm faith, fulfilling every word you have spoken in the quiet assurance of spirit. Faith is the invisible bridge between desire and fulfillment, yet few ever cross it because they carry tension instead of trust. Tension is the tight hand that clings, faith is the open palm that receives. Tension says, I must make this happen. Faith says, it is already done. The moment tension enters the heart, the creative current becomes tangled. The universe does not respond to strain, it responds to surrender. The softest feeling of peace attracts faster than the strongest effort born of fear. Faith without tension is the purest state of allowing, where the soul no longer grasps but glides, no longer demands but knows. To have faith without tension is to rest in divine law as naturally as a bird rests upon the wind. The bird does not question whether the air will hold it, it trusts the invisible lift beneath its wings. So too must the soul trust the unseen current that sustains every dream. Tension is the symptom of doubt, the mind's way, of saying it has not yet believed. But faith is a quiet certainty that asks for no proof. It does not chase signs, it creates them. The faithful heart does not argue with appearances, for it knows that appearances are the slowest part of creation. Beneath the visible, the unseen is already complete. When you affirm abundance yet feel anxious, the vibration of tension cancels the vibration of faith. You cannot hold peace and pressure in the same hand. One must yield to the other. That is why the truly faithful say their word once, and then rest. They do not repeat it in fear that it will not be heard. They do not search for reassurance in the outer world. Their peace is their proof. The quiet of their spirit is their evidence. They walk through life as though the matter were settled, and so it is. Faith without tension is effortless power. It is the gentle command that moves mountains not by pushing them, but by dissolving the illusion of separation between the self and the outcome. The moment you stop trying, you begin allowing. Trying implies distance, allowing recognizes unity. When you believe something is apart from you, you struggle to reach it. But when you know it is already yours in spirit, you relax, and in that relaxation, you become magnetic. The universe rushes to fill the open hands of peace. Every tense thought is a knot in the thread of creation. You may speak your affirmation with perfect words, but if your feeling is strained, the thread will not move smoothly through the loom of life. To release tension is to allow the divine pattern to weave itself without interference. Faith weaves faster than force, for it follows the effortless rhythm of divine intelligence. You cannot rush the eternal, but you can harmonize with it, and harmony is always peaceful. The greatest miracles are born in quiet trust. Think of a seed buried in soil. It does not struggle to grow. It simply yields to the law of life. Its faith is silent, untroubled, complete. The seed does not check each morning to see if its roots are forming. It rests, knowing that the process is sure. Likewise, when you plant the seed of your desire with faith, you must leave it undisturbed. To worry is to dig it up. To rest in faith is to let it flourish. The garden of your abundance grows only in the atmosphere of peace. When you speak your sacred line for wealth or healing, the power does not come from repetition or effort. It comes from the calm certainty that your word is law. The instant you speak it with full conviction, creation begins. The rest of your work is to maintain stillness, not to force, not to beg, not to wonder when. You rest as though the delivery were already made, as though the invisible postman of spirit had already placed your blessing at the door of your reality. The moment you reach that peace, you have entered the realm of faith without tension. Tension arises from the illusion of separation, the belief that the self must make things happen through its own will. But divine creation requires no strain. The same intelligence that spins the stars and opens the flowers needs no help from human anxiety. The law of abundance moves in perfect precision. Your part is not to push but to align. When you are calm, you are cooperating with the law. When you are tense, you are opposing it. The universe reads your energy, not your effort. It moves toward your peace like iron toward a magnet. To live in faith without tension is to breathe in rhythm with the infinite. It is to trust that what you have asked for is already unfolding, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. It is to smile at the invisible, to give thanks before the evidence appears. Gratitude is the voice of relaxed faith. It declares that the gift is already given, that the promise is already kept. When you are grateful without visible cause, you are demonstrating the highest form of faith, the kind that does not wait for proof. There is no speed in spirit, there is only readiness. The universe does not delay, it delivers according to vibration. When your vibration is tight with fear, your blessing cannot enter. It finds the door closed. When you loosen your grip and rest in assurance, the door swings open. Faith opens the door. Tension keeps it locked. You do not need to pry it open with effort, only to relax into knowing. The hand of peace turns the handle with ease. Faith without tension feels like breathing easily after a long climb. It is the release that follows surrender. When you finally stop striving, you can feel the gentle pulse of divine order carrying you. You no longer ask, "When will it come?" You begin to say, "It is already on its way." The heart becomes light, and that lightness is the signal the universe has been waiting for. It moves instantly toward calm certainty, for calm is its natural state. Those who live in this peace appear blessed not because they struggle harder, but because they worry less. Their calmness is their command. The world seems to bend around them, fulfilling their words with ease. This is not because they possess more power, but because they have stopped resisting their own. The absence of tension is the presence of alignment. In that alignment, even the smallest whisper becomes law. To live in faith without tension is to master the art of resting in completion. It is to live as though everything you need is already moving toward you in perfect timing. You cease to rush or grasp because you know that your part is already done. You have spoken your word. The universe has received it. Any further strain would only disturb the current. So you remain still, calm, and receptive like a quiet lake waiting to reflect the sky. When you feel tension arise, it is a signal to return to your center. Do not fight the fear, observe it. Let it pass like a cloud. Behind it, the sky of faith remains untouched. Faith without tension is not denial, it is mastery. It does not pretend that challenges do not exist. It simply knows they are powerless against truth. Every time you relax into that knowing, the current of abundance flows more swiftly. Faith is not the absence of movement. It is movement without resistance. It is the quiet rhythm of divine order, expressing through you. When you are relaxed in faith, ideas come easily, doors open naturally, help arrives unexpectedly. You act, but without strain. You move, but without effort. The energy that once scattered through worry becomes focused, deliberate, and magnetic. This is the effortless flow of the faithful. Peace is the proof of faith. The more deeply you believe, the quieter you become. There is no need to chase what is already yours. The moment you truly understand this, tension evaporates like mist before the sun. You begin to see that every desire carries within it the means of its own fulfillment. You are not waiting for life to grant your wish. Life is waiting for you to relax enough to receive it. Faith without tension is not passive. It is power in repose. It is the state of divine rest that allows creation to unfold without interference. It is the calm conviction that your word is the law of your world. You do not need to push the river. You only need to step into its current. And as you do, you discover that the current was never against you. It was always carrying you exactly where you needed to go. Money is not a master, but a servant, not a mystery, but a mirror. It moves in exact response to the vibration of consciousness that commands it. The great illusion of the world is that money is power, when in truth, power is the consciousness that directs it. Money itself is lifeless until it is breathed into motion by thought. It has no will of its own. It follows the rhythm of belief. Like water, it flows where channels are open and stills where fear builds a dam. To understand this is to be free from both poverty and pride. For when the soul recognizes that money is obedient, energy, it ceases to chase it and begins to direct it. Every coin, every note, every unseen current of wealth is energy condensed thought made visible. It is spiritual substance temporarily clothed in form. When you speak of lack, you instruct that energy to withdraw. When you affirm abundance, you invite it to assemble around you. The movement of money mirrors the movement of the mind. Those who feel scarcity repel it, no matter how hard they work. Those who rest in gratitude and certainty draw it effortlessly, for their vibration matches the flow of supply. The universe cannot resist obedience to consciousness. It was designed to echo it perfectly. Money has no character of its own. It is neither good nor evil, generous nor selfish. It becomes whatever the mind behind it decrees. In the hands of the fearful, it becomes a tool of anxiety. In the hands of the faithful, it becomes a vessel of good. It takes on the nature of its master. It obeys command, not chaos. That is why it flees from confusion and rushes toward clarity. The moment your thoughts toward money are clean and peaceful, it begins to return to you in perfect order. It does not come to the one who struggles for it, but to the one who understands it. When you begin to treat money as living energy rather than inert matter, your relationship with it transforms. You no longer beg for it, you communicate with it. You no longer hoard it, you trust it. You begin to sense its responsiveness, its willingness to serve your higher purpose. You realize that every bill you pay, every coin you give, every transaction you make sends a ripple of vibration into the field of abundance. The feeling behind each act determines what returns. A gift given in fear depletes, a gift given in joy multiplies. The universe does not measure amount, it measures intention. Money obeys the command of emotion. It listens not to the tongue but to the heart. When you say, "I am rich," but feel worry, money hears the worry, not the words. When you say nothing but quietly feel secure, money hears the calm and responds. It is trained by the vibration you emit most consistently. The tone of your inner world becomes its instruction. If your energy says, "I trust," money flows easily, like breath. If your energy says, "I fear loss," it pauses, unsure where to move. You do not have to force it, you have to harmonize with it. All energy seeks balance, and money is no exception. It moves naturally toward those who create balance between giving and receiving. The miser who withholds stops its current. The reckless spender scatters it. But the one who gives with faith and receives with gratitude maintains its circulation. Money thrives in motion. It becomes stagnant only when the heart becomes tight. To bless what you give is to command it to return multiplied. To curse it as it leaves is to send it away frightened. Every exchange carries spiritual instruction. The obedient energy of money simply follows what you believe. The language of money is ease. It does not understand desperation. The moment you strain for it, you push it away. It cannot enter where fear stands guard. The calm expectancy of wealth, however, calls it forth as surely as the moon draws the tide. When your consciousness says, "It is natural for me to prosper," money recognizes that voice as authority. It does not question, it obeys. The universe does not withhold, it mirrors. Your vibration is the command, and the response is immediate, though often unseen at first. Money flows along channels carved by belief. These channels are unseen pathways in consciousness. If you believe that money must come through struggle, it will obey by arriving only through hardship. If you believe it can come with grace, it will obey by flowing easily. The law is exact. You are never waiting for supply. Supply is waiting for permission. Money does not originate from employers or clients or commerce, they are only instruments. The true source is invisible, and its messenger is belief. To change the flow, you must change the command. Fear instructs money to disappear. It does not punish, it simply responds. When you fear to spend, you declare, "There is not enough," and the obedient energy confirms your decree. But when you spend in joy, you declare, "Supply is infinite," and the obedient energy rushes to replace what was released. The difference lies not in the transaction, but in the spirit behind it. You are the conductor of this symphony of exchange. Every thought, every feeling is a note that directs the rhythm of your financial life. Money is deeply sensitive to gratitude. It loves to be blessed. When you handle it with resentment, it grows restless and leaves. When you touch it with appreciation, it feels safe and multiplies. The energy of gratitude tells money that it is welcome, that it has purpose, that it is being used wisely. This feeling sends a signal into the fabric of abundance that says, "Here is a good home." And the universe responds by sending more. Money follows warmth, not worry. It returns to where it is celebrated, not where it is merely counted. To command money, one must first release all guilt about possessing it. Guilt confuses the energy. It tells money that it is unwanted, that its presence creates shame. The obedient energy then withdraws. But when you see money as divine substance, as an expression of spiritual circulation, it recognizes your acceptance and obeys accordingly. Wealth begins to appear naturally, not as a moral test, but as a reflection of harmony. The soul that understands money's sacred role never fears it or idolizes it, it simply directs it toward good. Money moves toward those who are certain of its obedience. It hesitates before those who doubt their worthiness. When you know that supply is your birthright, your confidence becomes the magnet. This confidence is not arrogance. It is remembrance. It is the recognition that energy cannot be absent from its source, and you are that source in expression. When you speak with authority, when you say, "Money, you serve the divine plan through me," the obedient energy bows to that command. It is drawn not by greed, but by clarity of purpose. This is why many who chase wealth never find peace. They chase what should be commanded. Energy cannot be caught. It must be directed. The anxious pursuit of money is a confession of disbelief in the law. To chase is to declare separation. To command is to affirm unity. The soul that commands money does not grasp for it. It stands still and speaks from authority. It knows that to command is to claim alignment, and to align is to receive. The obedient energy rushes to fulfill that calm decree. When you begin to see money as a servant of spirit, your relationship with it softens. You stop fearing its absence or clinging to its presence. you realize that it circulates according to your inner state. The clearer your consciousness, the steadier its flow. It responds instantly to emotion but eternally to truth. If you hold peace long enough, the outer world must adjust to match it. The bills are paid, the opportunities unfold, the supply appears not as random luck, but as energy responding to direction. Money is loyal to truth. It resists confusion. It flows through order, through focus, through joy. The universe was built on these same qualities. You do not have to wrestle with the system, you are part of it. When you bless money as it enters and leaves your life, when you see it as light made visible, it obeys with greater devotion. It becomes an extension of divine will, carrying blessings wherever you send it. The more peace you hold, the more perfectly it follows. There will come a moment when you realize that you never earned money, you allowed it. You never lost it. You interrupted its flow. You never lacked it, you believed it was distant. And in that realization you understand that money is not external at all. It is the obedient echo of your inner command. When you whisper abundance, it gathers around you. When you speak fear, it fades. It listens always, faithfully, waiting only for the tone of authority that comes from peace. There is a music beneath all manifestation, a tone that vibrates quietly behind every spoken word. It is the true language of the universe, unspoken but always heard. Words may declare one thing, but it is the inner tone that carries the message to creation. The divine law does not listen to the syllables of speech, it listens to the vibration of the heart. When the tone within you is pure, when it sings in harmony with faith, gratitude, and peace, the universe answers instantly. But when the inner note wavers with fear, resentment, or doubt, the response becomes distorted. Manifestation is not a battle of words but a symphony of vibration, and every thought, every feeling, is an instrument. The alignment of inner tone is the true secret of power. It is the moment when your outer expression and inner belief become one, when your lips and your soul speak the same language. To say, "I am abundant" while feeling lack, is to play a broken chord. The sound may be loud, but it is dissonant. Yet to whisper, "I am complete" with deep conviction, is to release a note so true that the entire field of creation vibrates in agreement. The law of attraction does not follow statements, it follows sound. Every feeling you hold is a note sent into the fabric of reality, and the universe cannot help but echo it. When your inner tone is aligned with prosperity, you no longer chase wealth, you harmonize with it. You become like a tuning fork, resonating with abundance. The vibration of ease, joy, and certainty draws to itself everything that matches its frequency. There is no struggle, no delay. Only the natural rhythm of attraction. Money, opportunities, and blessings are drawn to your vibration just as melody draws dancers to its rhythm. The secret is not to demand but to resonate. You do not force the song, you become it. The untrained mind speaks in confusion, one moment in faith, another in fear. The tone rises and falls, and the results rise and fall with it. This is why manifestation often seems inconsistent. The universe is not uncertain, the vibration is. To align the inner tone is to still the noise of contradiction. You speak less but mean more. You do not use many words because one word, spoken from harmony, carries more power than 1,000 uttered in confusion. The true command is soft, steady, and certain, like a clear bell that rings through eternity. The inner tone is shaped by emotion, and emotion is the electricity of creation. Joy sharpens the tone, fear dulls it, gratitude amplifies it, resentment distorts it. The moment you bring your emotional state into peace, your vibration becomes precise, and the law of attraction can recognize it. Creation is mathematical. In its perfection, it cannot mistake frequencies. When your inner tone matches the tone of abundance, the response is immediate. You cannot attract harmony while vibrating chaos. The universe responds faithfully to the music you play within. To align your tone, you must first listen to it. Most live unaware of the constant hum of energy within them, the low, restless current of worry, the quick pulse of doubt. But when you grow still and feel your own vibration, you can begin to tune it. You may find it trembling with old beliefs, discordant memories, or inherited fears. Do not fight them, simply breathe and allow them to settle. The silence between breaths is the sacred tuning space where you can recalibrate. Each time you choose peace over panic, love over resentment, gratitude over complaint, your tone rises closer to divine harmony. The law of life is musical. Every event, every encounter, every coincidence is an echo of your inner melody. The person who constantly expects lack attracts situations that match that expectation. The one who inwardly sings abundance attracts wealth without effort. The tone of your expectation sets the stage long before any words are spoken. That is why true prosperity begins not with affirmation, but with emotional alignment. The heart must hum with the same rhythm as the word it speaks. Only then does the universe recognize the note as genuine. Consider the difference between two prayers, one spoken with anxiety, another with peace. Both use the same words, yet only one is heard. The divine ear does not respond to repetition, it responds to resonance. When the heart speaks with gratitude, the words become light, traveling through the unseen realms and forming substance. But when the heart speaks with tension, the words fall heavy and dissolve before reaching the field of creation. The same is true for every declaration of wealth, love, or healing. The sound that carries power is not made by the mouth, but by the spirit. To align your inner tone is to master the law of effortless manifestation. It is not about emotion alone. It is about the quality of feeling. A calm, grounded joy is stronger than a loud excitement born of doubt. The universe feels steadiness as authority. The quiet confidence that says, "It is already done," creates instantly. The vibration of certainty holds no contradiction, no hesitation. It is clear, unwavering, direct. The moment your tone carries this clarity, the unseen world rushes to match it. There is a silence that follows perfect tone, a silence filled with power. It is not empty but alive. When your heart has aligned with truth, there is nothing left to push or prove. You have reached the still center of creation, where vibration and peace are one. From this place, you do not need to repeat affirmations endlessly. Your being itself becomes the affirmation. The tone of your existence becomes the decree. Every step you take, every glance you give, every breath you release hums with the certainty of abundance fulfilled. You may notice that when your inner tone rises, circumstances around you change without visible effort. People respond differently, opportunities appear, difficulties dissolve. The outer world is simply shifting to match your new vibration. The tone within you is the cause, the events around you are the echo. When you maintain harmony long enough, the echoes become your new reality. The practice is not to chase results, but to keep the tone pure. Every time you slip into fear, you retune through gratitude. Every time you fall into worry, you retune through faith. The melody of abundance must be played again and again until it becomes your natural state. The body itself feels the alignment. When your tone is discordant, you feel it as tension, the tightness of fear, the weight of anxiety. But when the tone aligns, peace spreads through every cell. The body relaxes because it recognizes truth. The mind quiets because it no longer resists. This physical harmony is the proof that your vibration is right. You begin to move through the world as though guided by an unseen rhythm, always at the right place, meeting the right people, saying the right words. Life unfolds like music perfectly timed. To align your tone, practice speaking only from peace. Before you declare a word of power, pause and feel. Ask yourself, do I believe what I am about to say? Does my heart hum in agreement with my tongue? If not, wait. Sit in silence until the vibration within you becomes still and sure. Then speak. A single word from that state carries more creative authority than endless chatter from an unsteady heart. The true magician of consciousness is the one who speaks rarely but always from harmony. The alignment of inner tone is not forced, it is remembered. Every soul was born in tune with the divine symphony. The discord came later from fear, from doubt, from the noise of the world, but deep within, beneath all, that interference, the original note still vibrates. To return to it is to return to power. You do not have to invent this tone, you only need to uncover it. When you live from that authentic vibration, all things respond. The universe recognizes its own frequency in you and begins to deliver everything that matches. In this harmony, wealth ceases to be pursuit and becomes reflection. You do not chase prosperity, you radiate it. You become so inwardly tuned that opportunities are drawn to you naturally, as though they have been listening for your tone all along. The voice of faith, calm and unwavering, becomes your signature in the orchestra of creation. Each thought, each feeling adds to the melody, and the song of your life begins to play in perfect rhythm with the divine. There is a divine immediacy woven into the fabric of creation, a law that knows no waiting, no delay, no distance between the words spoken and the thing fulfilled. The universe is not slow, it is responsive. It does not ponder your request, nor measure your worthiness. It acts the instant you align your word, your feeling, and your faith. What seems like waiting is only your perception catching up to what has already been completed in the unseen. The instant response of the universe is not a rare miracle, it is the natural function of divine law. Every thought, every emotion, every quiet declaration sends a signal into the infinite, and the infinite answers immediately, with precision and obedience. This instant response is the proof of unity. You are not separate from the source that supplies you. You are the channel through which it expresses. The moment you think in harmony with divine law, that law moves through you. It does not travel miles or cross barriers. It manifests within you and around you as one seamless act of creation. The delay you imagine is not in the law, it is in your own resistance to receive. The law never pauses. The word of faith spoken into the silence is heard, and answered in the same breath. The instant response of creation can be felt like the sudden shift of air before a storm, subtle, invisible, but undeniable. When you speak your decree with true conviction, something moves in the unseen. You can sense it, not as evidence, but as energy. The atmosphere of your life begins to rearrange itself. People begin to think of you, doors begin to open, circumstances begin to align. It all begins the very moment you release your word in perfect faith. Nothing stands between your declaration and its fulfillment except your own disbelief. The law of instant response does not operate through time, it operates through vibration. The moment your vibration changes, your world changes. You do not have to wait for the calendar to turn or the seasons to shift. When your inner tone reaches the frequency of abundance, the outer must reflect it. The response is not delayed. The reflection is immediate. You may not yet see it with your eyes, but it is already forming, already solidifying into matter. The unseen always precedes the seen, and the unseen responds in an instant. When you understand this, you stop measuring results by hours or days. You stop asking when your manifestation will come, for you know it has already arrived in spirit. You begin to live in a state of quiet expectation, knowing that each breath brings it closer to visibility. This is not patience born of waiting, it is peace born of knowing. You walk through life as though the answer were already given, because in truth it is. The instant response has already begun its work the moment you spoke with certainty. There is a sacred rhythm to this immediacy, the rhythm of cause and correspondence. Every thought carries its own echo, every emotion, its own reflection. The universe mirrors consciousness as swiftly as sound mirrors off a canyon wall. When you send out a vibration of joy, joy answers. When you release fear, fear answers. The law is impartial, it returns whatever it receives, without judgment and without delay. That is why it is so vital to keep the tone of your heart pure, for the echo comes faster than you imagine. You are living constantly in the reflection of your own vibration, and the mirror responds instantly to every change within you. When you whisper your sacred line, when you affirm your abundance with calm certainty, the whole field of creation hears you. There is no bureaucracy in divine law, no waiting list in the unseen. The moment you declare your truth, invisible hands begin to move. Energy gathers, situations shift, hearts soften, pathways open. You may not see the pattern at once, but it is unfolding even now. The law of instant response has already accepted your command and is fulfilling it through perfect order. This is why it is said that faith must never strain. The moment you strain, you interfere with the flow. The instant response cannot be forced. It can only be allowed. When you trust fully, the law moves with speed. When you doubt, you create turbulence in the current. It is not that the universe slows down. It is that your resistance creates delay. The instant response remains constant, but you must remain open enough to receive it. The more relaxed you are, the faster the evidence appears. The vibration of calm expectancy is the invitation that summons fulfillment. The universe responds instantly, not because it is rushing to serve you, but because it is already within you. There is no separation between your word and its fulfillment. You and the creative law are one. Every word of faith spoken in that oneness is already complete the moment it is conceived. You do not need to call the universe to attention. It is always listening. You do not need to remind it. It never forgets. You do not need to beg. It already knows. The instant response is simply the law recognizing itself in your vibration. Think of electricity. The moment the switch is turned, the light appears. The current was already flowing. You only completed the circuit. The light does not hesitate. It responds immediately. So it is with divine supply. The current of abundance is constant, eternal, waiting only for the connection of your faith. The instant you flip that switch, the instant you believe the light appears, you may not yet see its glow in physical form, but the current is alive and complete. The moment belief replaces doubt, manifestation becomes inevitable. There is no waiting period in divine law. There is only the unfolding of the invisible into the visible, the translation of vibration into form. The response is instant. The appearance is progressive. To the one who understands this, there is no impatience. You do not dig up the seed to see if it has sprouted. You trust the process because you know that the moment you planted it, life began. The soil of the unseen is already working, silently and swiftly, to deliver the harvest. The instant response of the universe is as sure as the rising of the sun, as immediate as breath. You are surrounded at all times by intelligent energy awaiting direction. It listens for your command. The universe does not choose when to respond. It is always responding. Each thought is a signal. Each emotion is an order. You cannot pause creation, you can only redirect it. Even silence is heard as intention. The law of instant response never sleeps, never pauses, never questions. It is eternal motion, continually shaping matter in accordance with consciousness. That is why awareness is power, because awareness is creation in its purest form. Once you grasp the immediacy of this law, you no longer pray from lack. You no longer plead or bargain. You simply declare and allow. You speak your word once, feel it fully, and then rest. You know that the invisible machinery of spirit is already working in your favor. The moment the word is released, the universe says yes. The yes may not yet have form, but it is already substance. To doubt is to say no to your own command. To trust is to let the yes unfold. The law cannot contradict you, it must echo the tone you send. You will notice this instant response in small ways: first a message arriving, a door opening, a thought of help answered before it is spoken. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The divine intelligence that governs the galaxies also governs your smallest desires, and it moves as swiftly for one as for the other. There is no scale in spirit, there is only resonance. The instant response does not discriminate between large and small, wealth and need, dream and detail. It responds only to vibration. The moment your vibration aligns with your desire, creation begins immediately, faithfully, without hesitation. Every miracle ever witnessed has obeyed this law. The lame walked, the blind saw, the storm calmed not because time passed, but because alignment occurred. The instant the vibration of faith overpowered the vibration of fear, form rearranged itself. The miracle was never delayed. The readiness was. Once readiness came, manifestation followed in a breath. The same law that worked in those moments is working now. It is not partial to prophets or sages. It is bound to principle, and principle always responds without pause. When you live in awareness of the instant response, you begin to speak differently, think differently, move differently. You realize that every moment is sacred because every moment is creative. There are no idle thoughts, no casual words. Each carries power, each is answered. You begin to choose your vibration as carefully as you choose your words. You speak gently, not because you fear the law, but because you revere it. You understand that the universe does not delay, it mirrors. It reflects your consciousness as swiftly as a calm lake reflects the sky above it. To live by this truth is to live in peace. You cease to wrestle with time, you no longer chase blessings, for you know they are already on their way the moment you feel them as real. You stop questioning when and start dwelling in now. Every whisper of faith, every sigh of gratitude is answered instantly in the unseen, already forming its visible shape. The instant response of divine law is perfect, eternal, and constant, as sure as light following the command, "Let there be." In the hush before thought gathers its noise, creation listens. The whisper is not weakness, it is precision, a slender arrow loosed from a still hand. When the heart is unclenched, and the breath moves like a tide across quiet sand, a single soft word becomes a scepter. In that private current of soundless consent, the soul affirms what already is, and the universe, hearing its own language, quickens. The whisper does not bargain with appearances or push against the visible. It slips underneath them, changing the pattern at the loom. It is small to the ear and vast to the law, because it carries no self-argument, no grit of resistance. You do not shout to be heard by spirit. You grow quiet to be indistinguishable from it. And then, whatever you say is recognized as decree. There is a sentence inside you that is already fulfilled the instant it is spoken from the right altitude of knowing, not ornamented, not elaborate, simply sovereign. The potency of that line is not in syllables, but in stature, the posture of consciousness from which it proceeds. Command is not force, it is identity. The word issued from union with Source is not a request delivered to a distant throne, it is the law moving through its own channel. Speak the one line once, as one who remembers rather than pleads, and then let silence hold it like seed in dark soil. What follows is not repetition but embodiment, for a king does not echo his order to prove it was heard. He stands in the room and the room becomes an answer. Cause and completion meet where feeling and word are one. The heart's climate is the speed. When the inner weather clears, no gusts of dread, no drizzle of second-guessing the landscape of experience shows the sun without delay. The law is not slow. Only split vibration stretches the road beneath your feet. Say it and feel it in the same breath, and the event begins not tomorrow but now, with the unseen arranging furniture long before you turn on the light. You cannot outpace this law with hustle nor stall it with a calendar. You can only tune or detune it by the tone you carry, for the universe moves at the speed of your undivided yes. After the line, the hush. The word flies straighter when the air is still. You enter the sanctuary, where clocks forget their task, and there the decree is received without friction. Silence is not an absence. It is the medium that conducts power, the way deep water conducts sound farther, truer, unbroken. In this chamber, guidance is a subtle tilt of the soul, a soft alignment of attention that places you where ease can find you. The mind wants to help with noise. The spirit helps by making a clear corridor. Let the quiet carry your sentence like a river bears a lantern at night, and what must recognize you will find you by that steady glow. Effort clenches the fist. Faith opens the hand. You are not dragging a reluctant universe to your door. You are removing the latch from within. Tension argues that supply is far and fickle. Faith knows it is native and near. When the muscles of will soften, the arteries of destiny widen. Rest is not a nap, it is authority at ease. The seed does not pry open its own shell, it yields to the law within the shell. Speak once, relax the jaw, let the shoulders fall from the ears, and walk as if the messenger has already left the gate. That walk is a signature the law recognizes, and it delivers to the name inscribed by your composure. It is not a monarch on whose favor you depend, it is a current that follows banks you cut with belief. Call it, bless it, assign it holy work, and honorable routes, and watch how quickly it prefers your company. Money reads atmosphere. It lingers where it is welcomed without worship, guided without fear, circulated without guilt. Treat it as light made visible, useful, aimable, clean, and it behaves like light. It reveals, it warms, it extends vision. Withdraw the charge of panic from every transaction, and you return its memory of service. Then a payment becomes a proclamation of plenty, an outgoing stream that signals a greater tide, incoming by the very law that keeps seas faithful to shores. Words are shells, feeling is the living tide within them. To speak enough while vibrating barely is to send a vessel to sea without wind. Tune the note before you play the song. Let gratitude temper the metal of your sentence until it rings clear. Let peace remove the burr from every syllable. A true tone needs no volume. A false tone cannot be rescued by it. When the heart hums the same key the mouth declares, probability collapses into presence. People call this coincidence. It is coherence. You will recognize its arrival by the body's agreement. The breath deepens. The face loosens. The mind stops negotiating, and the room seems to widen around you, because you are now the bell the world was waiting to hear. Everything answers now. Not later, not when the moon is right, not once the city signs your papers or the season finds your street, but now, because the law is not a courier traveling to you. It is a field rising within you at the speed of your consent. The instant response is the summoning of all 8 keys into one chord. The whisper that carries command, the command that carries feeling, the feeling that rests in silence, the silence that keeps the body unknotted, the body that signals trust to obedient energy, the energy that recognizes the tone that returns as world. It is not a ladder climbed rung by rung. It is a single turning of the inner switch that brightens every room at. Once stand in your room as in a sanctuary, and let the atmosphere declare your doctrine. You may close your eyes to better see. Place the hand upon the chest, not as a gesture of need, but as a sign of jurisdiction, and breathe until the breath forgets to count. Now let the ancient softness carry your sentence, the one that fits your mouth like a remembered vow. It can be plain as dawn. I am one with the unfailing supply now. Say it once as one who bears witness, not as one who begs. Do not reach forward to fetch its proof. Watch how reality leans toward you to make the testimony flesh. You will feel the answer first as texture. The air thickens the way a theater hush thickens before the curtain lifts. Clocks remain, but time relaxes its jaw. Faces you have not met begin to turn in your direction. Thoughts you did not think arrive with keys in their hands. Doors you did not knock on forget they were ever closed. You will call these signs, but they are responses, immediate as a reflection, faithful as an echo, precise as a compass, returning to north the moment the magnet of your tone is true. If movement is required, it will feel like a glide, not a shove. Steps present themselves rounded and lit, the kind you take without arguing with your knees. Messages appear with unreasonable timing. The appointment you wanted is suddenly just opened. The invoice you feared grows wings and pays itself through a channel you had not named. The mind, trained for siege, will look for trapdoors and droughts. Smile at it the way you smile at a loyal dog who has not yet learned that fireworks are only sound. You are teaching your nervous system the etiquette of answered prayer. Remain seated, sip the light, let the table serve the course already prepared. When doubt knocks, it will be dressed as diligence. It will suggest that a second decree proves seriousness, that a louder tone proves authority, that a busier day proves worth. This is the old liturgy of delay. Answer it the way still water answers a stone, receive without complication, and return to clarity. The instant response did not pause, only attention wandered. Bring it back with the simplest ritual known to saints and sailors. A slow breath, a straight spine, a sentence correctly remembered, and the willingness to be done arguing with outcomes that have already agreed to you. Let money learn your temperature. Handle it with hands that do not tremble. Bless what goes out as seed, and name what returns as harvest, without counting heads of grain before they rise. Let generosity become your accent, not your performance. Give because you are the river, not because the desert must be impressed by a cup. Rivers never ask if the ocean is coming. Their motion is the answer, and every bend proves it again. Where energy senses this manner in you, it accelerates, obeying not your noise but your nature, not your posture of getting but your practice of being. Make home a tuning room. Place your chosen line where eyes rest, on the mirror's edge, on the kettle's handle, on the threshold that takes you out and brings you in, not as a charm, but as a reminder to stand at your height. When you pass, let your shoulders adopt the sentence, and your breath extend it, and your gaze give it to the corners of the day. Soon the rooms will hold it even when you forget, and strangers will inhale its certainty without knowing why their errands became kind around you. This is how an atmosphere is trained, by steadiness, by ease, by the friendly gravity of a tone that refuses to waver into worry. If a stretch of shadow comes, a bill before a payment, a silence before a callback, treat it as you would a cloud across a noon that remains noon. The sun does not audition, neither does your supply. Walk your errands in the confidence of weather that has already chosen you. Keep your speech unfrayed and your wrists unbound. Remember that the proof of faith is rest, and the proof of rest is usefulness. Do the next clean thing in front of you as if it were chosen by the same law that answers your decree, because it is. The ordinary chore becomes the gold courier when handled by one who knows they are answered. Notice how people recalibrate in your presence. The hurried lower their shoulders, the suspicious set down their mirrors, the hard of favor find themselves remembering you at the precise moment favor can move. None of this is accident. You have become a tuning fork in a crowded station, and tickets are being written to destinations whose names match your frequency. The calls arrive with little ceremony. The sums are large, not because you strained, but because strain once kept the gate narrow, and now the hinges have been oiled by quiet, by gratitude, by the sovereignty of a sentence that refuses to betray itself in anxious afterthoughts. Return, when needed, to the simplest proof. Touch the pulse and call it evidence that unseen systems obey without delay. Observe the breath and call it a stipend arriving exactly on time. Open a window and call it a ledger, where the figures are wind and the balance is freshness and the credit is light. You are not inventing poetry, you are training perception to notice that immediacy is the only manner by which life conducts itself. Your decree is not an interruption of that speed. It is its companion, its cue, its name spoken in its own accent by a mouth that has remembered to be still first and certain thereafter. And if ever you forget, begin where all beginnings begin. A whisper in a clean room, a line declared once, a silence that holds it like a chalice, a body that loosens because it trusts its chair, a view of money as faithful labor, a tone tuned until it rings without wobble. And then that quiet, inevitable shift in the field that tells you the law heard you at once and is turning every wheel to face you now.